In 2025, runtime security is going to be the most spoken about thing in cloud security.
I fly to the moon. I shrink the moon.
If you are a cloud security professional or you're trying to become one, number one trend that you want to look out for in 2025 is going to be getting ahead of the runtime security curve that's coming in. I've been in cloud security for a little over 15 years now. Initially, we used to rely a lot more on the CSPM, your Cloud Security Posture Manager, or your CNAPP, which is your Cloud Native Application Protection Platform. If you don't know what they are, I'll leave a link over here for the videos where it explains what that is. But point being, these were the things that I used to work on, or my team used to work on as cloud security engineers and architects to know what's wrong with cloud security. Now, over time, since the past couple of years, a lot of AI workload have come in, which meant that the cloud engineers and cloud architects are not being able to focus their attention on the fire hose of alerts with the red wall of alerts that is coming from all the CSPM and CNAPPs, because most of the time, the problem was we'll get a lot of alerts from CSPM and CNAPPs. We'll just hit a roadblock because we have to work with another team to resolve those issues, which means there'll be a lot of alerts left in the platform catching dust while we find some time in the sprint. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that we have to wait for others to work. It has to work based on the risk priority, so I totally understand that. But in the meanwhile, the work still needs to be done. So now with AI kind of exploding everywhere, more AI workload coming in, cloud security engineers and architects are working on proactively trying to build a cloud blueprint so that you can build security from the beginning, which means someone else needs to look after and triage these alerts, which fortunately security operations team or the SOC team stepped in and are able to help with not just the alerts from your on-premise data center, OT environments, IoT environments, and everything else that has been going on outside of the cloud, which they already look after. Now they've opened up their doors to include the cloud alerts in that. But the challenge is, security operations teams have always primarily worked on real issues that are happening right now. And the CSPM and CNAPPs, unfortunately, have always worked on a agent or an agentless based approach, which meant that your data could either be real time or could be a few hours behind, which is not really the way you want to do this. Now, this changed when eBPF came in handy. Whereas security engineers, we already had a lot of agents in a lot of the workload across our cloud footprint. We were able to use eBPF as a capability. When I say we, I mean the vendors who are in the cybersecurity space. They were able to use the eBPF capability to get the real-time information. So the security operations team can actually have a runtime information of what is a current threat in their cloud environment. Now, there's a lot more context around it. I'm not going to spend the entire time on this. I'll leave a few links over here for you to check out. Now, closely related to that is trend number 2 as well. Security operations team, or the SOC team, is going to be the new owner of cloud security alerts, which also means that, unfortunately, because security operations have traditionally looked after on-premise alerts as well as the alerts from other environments, not the cloud ones, now they have to pick up quickly on what these cloud security alerts are, how to triage them, what kind of threat detection would be involved in it. Now, they're already getting the information from all the cybersecurity granddaddies who have been doing threat intelligence for a long time. They're able to bring that information into the cloud world and combine all of that. But then there is a problem in terms of how much of the cloud alert and the cloud capability is provided as context in terms of knowledge for the SOC person. Now, in some extent, the SOC automation and AI world is trying to do some work in it. There's a security operations team which has picked up the baton from the cloud security engineers to look after the cloud security alerts. In 2025, they'll continue to work on improving what threat detection could look like, perhaps some SOC automation as well, to reduce the number of alerts that are being created from the CSPM, CNAPP tools, as well as the runtime tools. To be able to do a better triage on ignoring the alerts which are false positive automatically, and at the same time being able to raise alerts for priorities that are truly a security incident in your cloud environment at any given point in time, with the context of all the other environments, including the complex infrastructures like your Kubernetes, AI workloads, and everything else in there as well. Now, talking about AI brings me to the third trend that you'll see in 2025, which is DNAPP, or Data Native Application Protection Platform. Now, what this means is, as a Chief Information Security Officer or as a cybersecurity executive in an organization, I have always maintained a data security policy, data privacy team. There are teams that look after, hey, what do we do for data which is a health data or a private data or a personal data that the organization is working with? What we have never done, and a can of worms that no one wants to open, but fortunately or unfortunately for the AI explosion we came across, where data is the fuel, so data had to be the number one thing that people had to focus on. So a lot of people like myself are going to focus our cybersecurity program for 2025 around data security capability. Now, granted, there would be a lot of data security work, I would probably say if you were to do a side note for AI trends, data security is going to be 97% of the thing, and the 3% would be the true AI capability exploding companies that you would see, which is usually what happens when cloud exploded 15, 16 years ago. The same is going to happen with AI as well. That's why the data security piece is going to be super important. Now, the reason I use the word DNAPP is because currently in the data market, there is DSPM, which is Data Security Posture Manager, which helps you identify what kind of data is located where. And in most scenarios, it's able to do that in a cloud native way. So it's not just your emails or your SharePoint drives, it's also looking into your cloud resources like your databases, S3 buckets, There's a lot more storage types that are available in a cloud environment, which are natively being picked up by a DSPM to inform your decision on what kind of data is potentially being leaked and if it's sensitive or not. Obviously, being cloud native meant that there is a role that a CSPM or a CNAPP provider could play as well, which is what led to AI SPM. I had a great conversation with a few people about this, and it's really interesting to know that AI SPM became that amalgamation of what is the data type that is being located in a cloud native resource, and also is there a misconfiguration that is potentially impacting the cloud, all in one go, which is with the AI SPM. Now, that's just part of the thing, and that's different to a DSPM. Sorry for all the acronyms. Welcome to cybersecurity. The next thing I want to talk about, and one more acronym, and that's the end of it, which is DLP, or Data Leakage Prevention, which has been there for a long time, because DSPM only tells you, hey, this is what is wrong right now. Data Leakage Prevention, again, is runtime, going back to my top trend. Data Leakage Prevention is what's happening right now that I need to be concerned about from a data leakage perspective. Now, these are limited, and even though DLP as a space has existed for a long time, they have not done a great job of being cloud native, which is where the DSPM world kind of came in. As a cybersecurity leader, I would think my capability should include both, which is DSPM and DLP combined. Hence the word DNAPP. But the industry may be slow to adopt this, so you may see a lot more DSPM for data security in the beginning of 2025, and towards the tail end of it, you'll start seeing more DLP people talk about data security as well. Now, these are top 3 things you should be looking out for, but is there a trend that I'm missing? Drop in a comment on what you think should be the next trend. In the meanwhile, I'll check out these videos from Cloud Security Podcast, which were really helpful in us identifying what the trend would be for 2025. Enjoy the video. Peace.